Hey folks, let me get in the light so you can see me. It's Matthew. How you doing? So I'm in Best Buy and the sound turned on. I'm examining whether I'm going to grab the 100-inch QNED to replace, and I say replace, my 77-inch OLED in my theater room, living room. It's been a tough choice because OLED spoiled me, right? There's no picture quality or imaging technology to date that is superior to OLED. I challenge you to find me one that's better. So with that, color, contrast, the black levels, which is a part of the contrast, what is it that what other technologies out there can compete? Well, mini LED is close, but it's not quite there because you don't get quite a black level. You get a very, very, very dark gray or a light black. So again, your contrast comes from your black level. So that's the debate that I'm having, and whether this is even going to matter for me. So I don't have any discussion about whether we're going to have a black level or not, because I know I can't do it. So, am I willing to make that compromise to get this size? Because we're talking about a television that is, you know, um, larger, much larger than my 77 inch and I believe we're talking about 28%, if I can do the math correctly, maybe a little bit smaller.
Hey everybody, pardon that interruption. I just wanted to check my grade school math and make sure that I was giving you the correct information when I spouted out that 28% off the top of my head. So according to Gemini, my math was pretty correct. I was off by less than 1%. So I'll show you some numbers here in just a second, but I just wanted to interrupt just to show you that. And we'll go through the actual measurements and then we'll cut back to our regularly scheduled program. Okay, everybody, here is confirmation of my high school math skills. So, yes, on a linear plane, the 98-inch television is 27, so I was off by less than 1%. It's 27.27% larger from a diagonal measurement. That means, again, a linear diagonal measurement. But once you add area into the equation, meaning that you add that second dimension, height and width, that gives you it compounds it somewhat. So from that perspective, it goes up by like a cube factor of 61.98%. So that's how much larger of a surface area, how much more surface area that you have, or viewing area, if you want to call it that, that you have from going from a 77 inch to a 97 inch. And again, just think that into consideration. A 77 inch television is a large television. This is when we get into the categories of extra large televisions. I don't know what they're going to call those 115 inches when they start to hit the market, or some of them already available. But yeah, this is in a whole different level of size. So that's why I wanted to pause. I wanted to make sure that I'm giving you the right information. Also give you a visual representation of what that looks like from Display Wars. The previous information came from Gemini. So if we look here, this is what the 77 looks like. If you can see my mouse moving around in that blue rectangle, the green rectangle is the 98 inch. So that is the how much more viewing screen area that you actually have in a 98 to 100 inch versus a 77 inch. So just wanted to make sure I had my math correct, which from my perspective at the time, I was correct. So yay, Duval County Schools. Shout out to William M. Raines. Shout out to my college professors also, Mr. Chanarana over at FSCJ. But we're going to take a look at looking at whether this television is going to give you a significant bump. Because again, for me to go to the next visible OLED I can get, that would be a 83 inch. the one that I could afford. But it's not a big enough difference to actually incur the expense. Whereas this one, around the same price, would be worth it. So that's where I'm going to pause it here, guys.
So, as we look at this 100-inch or 98-inch, technically, one of the issues I want to stomp out is whether this is going to leave artifacting, the black level, which affects the contrast, which will give you some. Again, I don't see a lot of blooming. I do see blown out highlights, but I do not see a lot of haloing on this. And haloing means that you got blooming around it. So that's good. The highlights are a little overblown, which means that the color is going to be a little bit different. The off axle colors do shift, so you do kind of get a mini Doppler effect, if you will, with the colors, where as you get off axis, it does shift. Now, you have to be at an extreme axis. Not many people will be that close to the television and that far off axis in my room, ideally. And if those who are, they probably still won't notice because of the general size of it. It is much brighter, so it is able to overcome the lights that are above my head. Or as you look at the OLED, I don't know if you can see them, but you can clearly see the reflections there. But this is a G4, which stands for GOAT from LG. It's the best OLED on the planet, and it's brighter than most other OLEDs, which means that it also allows it to overcome the above lighting and ambient light. So that's another issue there. This is the only place I know in town that actually has one on display that is playing. The Best Buy closest to me did not. But if I were to find this on open box or something, I wanted to make sure that I've at least seen it. One of the issues I also am having is that I want to see it without the demo, because the demo images are calibrated specifically for the technology that is being displayed. And what that means is that I don't get a chance to see, I haven't seen a single human, so I don't see skin tone. I don't see many animals in this, so I'd like to see what the animal pigmentation looks like. So they're like hair, for example, what that looks like if I get blooming and contrast and detail in that. So there are some things where I'm not being able to fully appreciate on this. Like if we look at the mango, we look at the salt, look at the water droplets, the details great, because each one of these is on a textured screen, and even at this distance on this small pinhole camera, I'm able to see the detail clearly, so that is encouraging. But what do we do? What are we looking at as far as this? And something else I have to consider is that my viewing distance, most viewing distance for people is about here, which this is fully immersive. One of the reasons why I want something this large is that this would be more my viewing distance, which is about 20 feet away from the screen, which gives me more of a accurate picture at that type of viewing distance. So I'm looking at about 100 inches because I'm at 20 feet, which if you do the math based on the ratios, I probably need about 150 feet, 150 inch screen. So it's a little bit different there. So that's one of the debates there. Does that black level wash out at this distance? Or is it something that I won't notice because of the distance I'm at? So those are some of the questions I've got. So do I answer those today? I don't know. What I will say is that at this distance, this is a beautiful screen. And all of the imagery that I'm looking at currently at this distance, I can imagine in my room that I've optimized for this would look fantastic. So the compromises that I talked about when I was way up there start to fall away as I move back into my viewing distance. Because that's also the issue, is that the larger the screen you have, the more the imperfections are amplified, right? But I'm fortunate enough that I have a viewing distance where the television is far enough away that the pixel density becomes tighter. So now I can look at it and say, okay, this is what, so this is where I need to do the rest of my thinking is from this perspective for myself and my home. So that's what I'm going to do is going to take a few more minutes to look at it and see what else is around. If anything else captures my fancy. I've looked at TLC, I've looked at the Hisense. The LG presents the best picture to me, the best black level. It has the best local dimming because that is the technology that is going to be more important than anything else in this. Contrast ratio, again, is the best, the better than them to me. So that's what I'm looking at. So let me finish my investigation, and if I get it, there'll be another video. If I don't, then this is the video. Looking at the off-axis viewing, which you can see from most any angle, even the side of it, the colors and everything still have true fidelity. So let's look at what that looks like on this big boy. Back up a little bit. So see right about here, the colors start to mute just a little bit, but not enough because of the size of the screen to actually be noticeable. But if I look at this, that looks pink from there, but it's obviously red, right? And this highlight right here seems to be a little blown out. And so it's moving kind of fast. Like the salt was white and it looks great. The flowers looks great too. Sorry, they move kind of fast. I'm trying to catch things as they come along. But like the bubbles and stuff are clearly visible in the glasses on the demo. If we look, you can still see the water droplets. So that's a good indicator there for me. The texture of the table there. I don't see any blooming on that. And the clouds, you see the dirt here. Let's go off axis again and see what we look at. You can see that there's actually a color shift that happens from here. I don't know if it's picking it up on camera, but from here to there, there's a color shift. So if we look at something like that, and then we come over here, the colors shift almost. It's almost like a Doppler. It's kind of washed out. The detail kind of washes out, and then when you're directly in front of it, it sharpens. How many people are going to be sitting on those extreme angles in my home? Probably not many, but it is a consideration that you do not have with this, with the OLED. So just going through the demo, and what I'm really looking for is areas like this. Are there hot spots? Do I see a lot of blooming? Which I don't, honestly. A little bit around the OLED piece. Like this highlight right here is a little blown out. That highlight right there looks a little blown out. The lemon is another one. The texture here really shines, and the reflection on there, so it looks really good. Can you tune that where it doesn't look as blown out? Like look at the pomegranate up there. Looks a little bit blown out, and you can see when they transition into it, when it kind of fades in, what it looks like. Like the petals look good, but they look a little bright here. Not haloed though, so that's the important piece here. And arguably nobody's going to be this close to the television, I would hope not, in my home. Now, one other advantage that a mini LED will have over my OLED is that it will give you better brightness, right? So in a bright room like mine, this will be able to overcome a lot of the reflection. Whereas because unless you get the Samsung, this has a very, now this is the G4, so this is the absolute GOAT. That's what the G actually stands for, I think, is GOAT. But this actually has kind of a glossy screen, and you can see kind of the lights reflecting off of it. So if you're in a room where there's a lot of light, you may get some of that, but this has great brightness. It has a brightness boost that's brighter than most OLEDs. So it can overcome a lot of those reflections. As you look at it, the reflections kind of just meld into the background. Whereas with this, um, it's strong enough to where it can overpower, because there are lights above where we are and you don't see them in that screen. So is this the choice for us? Is this what we do? I've seen, I'm the open box king, and I've seen a couple come up, and so I want to make sure that I keep my razor sharp so that I can pounce when one pops up. Hey guys, so I wanted to share what I'm seeing. So I went and stepped back to my viewing distance in my home. And from this viewing distance, some of the quirks that I saw when I was up on the screen, such as blown highlights, seem to go away. They minimize with my distance. So as I stand here at my viewing distance of about 20 feet, the details that I noted, such as the blown out highlight on the peel of the pomegranate, how the salt and the flowers look to be a little high, a little hot. They didn't actually look that way as I stand from here. Even this looks a lot more crisp at this distance than it did before. There was some washing out. Clouds are kind of hard to film, believe it or not, because they don't have a lot of detail. So they kind of wash out, but things like this where you have stone that have a lot of intricate breaks and such in it, crevices, they come out great. So I'm just standing here looking at the leaves as they move in motion. Again, there was a lot of, not blooming, but a lot of blown highlights where everything was just a little too hot at that closer distance. Let me step in a little bit, probably here about halfway, which would be about 10 feet. And even here, looking at those areas, as I kind of move in between, you can see the highlights. You can still clearly see the texture of things. Like that lemon was one of the complaints, that highlight right there. The texture is coming in great from here. Even the reflection of the texture on the fork looks great. We should be coming up here. Look at the pomegranate. So that pomegranate before was blown out detail, whereas now it's not. That yellow is crazy bright, but the flowers, you can actually see detail from here as opposed to it being really hot. The salt detail looked great. When you look at the perfume bottles, you can still see all of the bubbles clearly from this distance. Stepping back. And again, I don't know if any of this is being captured in the camera as well as it is my eyeballs, but looking at it from this distance, I'm satisfied. I don't really have a true picture of the black level though. I don't have that type of image up there where I can really see, but based on the way that things are contrasting at this distance, it looks fine. The colors look accurate, not oversaturated. They're a little bit oversaturated because it probably isn't vivid. They have it set up so that you can see it pop immediately from across the room. But that's one of the things I'm looking at right now, is trying to make sure that I'm not over justifying it, but I'm also want to make sure I'm not overly critical, because I do know that there are some concessions that I'll have to make of this television versus one using that technology. They're just different. And is this close enough to this? That's what I have to deal with. And again, the reason that this is important, because I can't afford to get a television using this technology, the OLED, in that size. A television that size in OLED would be a 5-figure television easily, and that's not hyperbole, that is fact. Whereas with this, I can get it for less. And even now with some of the open boxes that are around that I've seen, I may have to travel a bit, but I can go and grab one. Look at those highlights. but it'll allow it that is a lot more obtainable, and it will give that immersive feeling in my room that I have, but I don't quite have, if that makes sense. See, look at the highlight there at the plate where you have the highlight, but you also can see the detail. That's an important thing. Same thing on the aloe vera right there. The salt looks clear. So these are all the considerations that I'm weighing in my mind right now before you invest in this type of technology, where you may spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on this. So anyway, that's my thoughts looking at it from my viewing distance of what I see as opposed to what I saw when I was looking at it from up there.